Hi, welcome to lecture number 6, blood types and sex-linked traits. Make sure you have out in front of you a pencil, paper, something to write your notes on. As we go through this lecture, make sure you're taking your notes so that you can succeed on the lecture quiz that you're turning in for your homework assignment, and also that you will take in class the day after this is due. Alright, let's start off. The objective. Students will be able to describe blood types and sex-linked traits in order to explain human inheritance patterns. Now, in class, we have touched on some of the things we know about blood types and sex-linked traits. In B Day, we've had a lot more practice on blood types and sex-linked traits. In A Day, not so much, but both classes can definitely benefit from having some good notes and a good explanation on what we've been doing so far. Alright, so blood types. Your type of blood is important for blood transfusions, organ transplants, and bone marrow donations. All things you need, either now in life if you have a certain disorder, or later in life if you get sick. Okay? Human blood is classified into different groups based on proteins called antigens. So, the different groups of the blood types, what are they? There's type O, which is written little I, little I. Notice, little I, what's that going to tell you immediately? Those small case letters, it is going to be recessive. Type AB, which is written big I, big A, big I, big B. That is dominant. There's type A, which can be written either big IA, or big IA, little I. And there's type B, which is written either big IB, or big IB, little I. So, type A can be homogeneous or homozygous, or heterozygous. Type B can be homozygous or heterozygous. Type AB can only be heterozygous, right here. Don't get confused by these I's. This I is just a little marker that carries the A, the B, or the O. Alright, so moving on. Blood type is genetic. Amazing, since we were just talking about alleles. It's passed down from mom and dad, right? Blood type is called multiple alleles since there are A, B, and O alleles. Let's look again back at the previous screen. Multiple alleles. We have IA, we have IB, or we have little I. Okay, multiple alleles. So, let's have a look at how we're going to do this in a Punnett square with all these different letters moving all about. Okay? Number 1. What are the possible blood types for the offspring of a man who is blood type AB, which is big I, A, big IB, and a woman who is blood type O, which is little I, little I? Make sure you're writing this question down in your notes so you remember where the Punnett square that you're about to draw it comes from. Okay, so let's set up our Punnett square. I'm going to put our father's genes at the top, big IA, big IB, and our mother's genes over here at the side, which is little I, little I. So remember, our father is type AB. We see both those A and the B. And our mother is O, little I, little I. So let's do the cross. Okay, we have big IA, little I, big IB, little I, big IA, little I, and big IB, little I. So looking at this, how many different types of blood can our offspring have? The answer is 2. We just have big IA, little I, or big IB, little I. Okay. Second example, what are the 2 possible blood types, or what are the possible blood types for the offspring of a man who is blood type A, and this time we're going to say big IA, little I, and a woman who is blood type B, big IB, little I? These are heterozygous blood types. Heterozygous, okay? So let's set up our Punnett square. Father goes at the top, mother goes at the side. So our father's genes, big IA, little I, and our mother, big IB, little I. Now let's do the cross. In our first square, we have big IA, big IB. That is going to be AB blood type. We see those 2 large letters, which are both dominant. Over here, we have big IB, little I. It's going to be type B blood type. Down here, big IA, little I, which is going to be type A. And here we have little I, type O. what are the possible blood types for the offspring of a man who is blood type A and a woman who is blood type B? Now this time we are crossing homozygous blood types. We don't have any little i's here. So if we're going to cross two homozygous, one blood type A, blood type B, let's set up our Punnett square. Our father at the top, big IA, big IA. Mother at the side, big IB, big IB. And we'll do our cross. And as you see, every single possibility is the same. Big IA, big IB. So we will have a child with type AB blood. Okay? One more thing about blood typing is the Rh factor. You've probably heard that someone is O positive or AB negative. Every blood type can be positive or negative. That means that you do or do not have the Rh protein on your cells, on your blood cells. Okay? The Rh protein helps your body distinguish foreign and harmful cells in your body. For example, if an Rh negative woman has a baby with an Rh positive man, the mother could have major issues if the baby is Rh positive. This is because the female's body will think the baby is an intruder and will attack it. Because the positive and negatives do not match, it will not identify the baby as an okay thing to have in the woman's body. Okay? Since the woman's body will be attacking the growing baby, this can result in anemia, brain damage, or even death for the growing baby. So knowledge of Rh factor is a very important thing. Okay, so enough on blood typing. Let's move on to a little bit of information about sex-linked traits. Now, this is a short video off of YouTube from another instructor who will be telling you a little bit about sex-linked traits. Each time that a paper shows up with notes on it, you need to take those notes down. So go ahead and pause the video and allow yourself time to write it. All right, I'll see you on the other side.
Today we're looking at sex-linked traits. Your sex is determined by the chromosomes that you have. These chromosomes also contain certain traits that can lead to color blindness, baldness, and other such traits. Let's first take a look at what determines sex. Sex-linked traits. What determines sex in organisms? The 23rd pair of chromosomes determines sex, the X and Y chromosomes. Women have an XX, men have an XY. Since every trait is determined by your chromosomes, sex should be as well. In our sex chromosomes, the last ones are the X and Y. Males will have an X and Y chromosome, giving them the male sex organs. Females will have an X and X chromosome, giving them the female sex organs. Sex is determined by male. Mother can only donate X chromosomes. Male could give X or Y. If we look at this Punnett square, we notice that the female can only give the X chromosomes, whereas the male could give an X chromosome or a Y chromosome in the sperm. Because of this, sex is determined by the male, with the female gaining XX and the male gaining XY. Are there any traits that can be on these chromosomes? Yes, because the X is large, it can store other traits. However, the Y is too little to store traits. If we examine the chromosomes, we can see that the Y chromosome is actually much smaller than the X chromosome. This means that the X chromosome can carry it can carry certain traits. The Y chromosome is too small, and therefore won't carry as many. Example, color blindness. Color blindness is a recessive trait on the X chromosome. Color blindness will always live on the X chromosome, never on the Y. Remember, it's too small. In people, we could have the normal vision allele, which is X big N, the colorblind allele, which is X little n. Notice color blindness is recessive, or Y. Notice Y doesn't get a hat because it's too little. If we examine the chromosomes of a colorblind person, we notice that the X and Y chromosomes may appear normal in terms of creating sex. However, the information that they contain leads to color blindness or the inability to see color. The combinations you could have are this. A normal female could be X big N or X little n, making them heterozygous, or X big N, X big N. A colorblind female would be X little n, since it's the recessive trait. And the male would be X little n, Y. Y doesn't cover it up because it's too small. Colorblindness is the trait where you're unable to tell colors, specifically reds and greens. Because of this, defect, many people who are colorblind are unable to become pilots, drivers, etc. Some tips on the Punnett squares: do the X's and Y's first, then do the letters.
Okay, so that's enough for the lecture today. Go ahead and take the quiz, LQ6, and I will see you in class.